Hey, what's up guys? A quick disclaimer, this video was recorded back during the first week of Legend Cayenne's release. I didn't feel the need to re-record it because I think all the information is still relevant. Do know that this video is mainly for solo because I didn't get to record any of my co-op runs, but I mean, it's pretty much the same fight with a few minor differences. I'm going to be talking over one of my early clear videos. I'm using an older clip because my clear time was pretty long, so that way you guys get to see more of what's going on in the fight. I'm going to be fast forwarding every here and there when there's nothing important to talk about, just so the video won't get super long. When a new mechanic arises, then I'll try to explain what's going on then. Reminder that your fight may be different than mine pattern wise because Agito bosses have HP based attack patterns, okay? So in the beginning, he's going to jump at you like what he usually does, but this time he has a shield right off the bat. Obviously you got Dispel it, it's easy if you have Grace, if not then you can use Cleo instead. Joker works too, otherwise you're going to have to break it the old fashioned way, which I do not recommend. By the way, every time he applies his shield on himself, which is called Adamantine Shield, it'll remove all stats ailments from him, so you'll have to reapply poison after it every single time. He then will spin towards the closest player, and that's pretty important if you have Delphi on team as an AI, because Delphi will cast his defense down zone right after the spin ends. So you want to make sure you bait him towards the center so that he walks directly on top of it. A red marker will target one of your characters. You have to group up on top of the red marker in order to spread the damage across everybody. I guess this is a new mechanic right here. He has this sun and moon concept. There will be these icons that pop up above your character. In solo, I believe it's all sun icons. I think it's based on the player slot. So in co-op, there will be 2 suns and 2 moon icons. In solo, you're only going to see a sun icon. But if you have a sun icon, then you can freely walk through any of the sun orbs. If you have a moon icon, then you can walk through any of the black orbs. Failing to do so will result in you taking damage from the incorrect orb. Whenever he does this move or something similar to this, not just for this phase 1, but for any other phase, when the whole screen is purple, you have to run outside the ring. Characters inside the ring receive more damage while the outside receives less. When the inside of the ring is red and the outside is purple, that's when you stay inside. That's pretty much it for phase 1. Phase 1 should take anywhere around 1 to 2 minutes to clear. Any longer than 2 minutes probably means that you don't have enough DPS or something is wrong with your rotations. The first thing he does in phase 2 is the double purple rings. You should have seen this move before from the previous fights. Do not get this one confused with the full purple explosion one. When you see purple filling up from both rings, then it's the one that doesn't do any damage. When it's filling from Cayenne and outward, then it's the one that deals damage, okay? For this one, if you stay inside, you get afflicted with a 50% strength debuff. If I remember correctly, staying on the outside will sap all of your skill gauges to 0. Just stay in the inside and don't use any big bursting skills until the debuff wears off. Actually, if you have dragon up during this time, you can transform to a dragon and that'll get rid of the strength debuff. That said, this is a great opportunity to use Gala Cat if you're using her to regain some cat stacks. 2 swipes with indicators here followed by an invisible one. Iframe those if you can, otherwise roll. Alright, so this part right here, Cayenne will do 2 different patterns. He will either start off with the inside being red or the full screen purple. When the inside's red, you stay inside the ring like I said before. The inside red will be followed by another annihilation attack with only the inside being purple. So for that one, you have to run outside the ring obviously in order to dodge it. Now when he does the full screen purple variant first, then you have to go outside the ring so that your characters receive less damage. That is followed by the Cataclysm grab move that he does. He'll grab the character that's the farthest away. The easiest way to remember these 2 patterns is that if you start off staying inside the ring, then you go outside next. If you start outside the ring, then you go inside afterwards. Sometimes the AI can be stupid during this part, so if you ever need to de-aggro your AI, just run to the bottom of the map. I think that's one of the few spots where you can actually de-aggro Cayenne while he's in the center. Also, do keep in mind that when you run outside the ring, remember to run towards the orb that is matching the icon above your head. Linear dualism is a new move. He'll summon some sun and moon orbs along this purple line, and one of 2 things can happen. He either spawns a moon circle or a sun circle, and it'll rotate around him 1.5 times. Basically, you have to stay inside the circle that corresponds with the icon above your head. Again, in solo, you're only going to have the sun icon, so what I recommend that you do is always position yourself on the top right, because in both scenarios, that's where you want to be, assuming that you have the sun icon. The moon circle spawns bottom left and the sun circle spawns top right. If you are not inside the correct circle, then your character will take constant damage. It only does this to your lead character, so you can actually just swap to an AI that's near the circle instead of having to constantly run around Cayenne. Make sure that you don't accidentally touch the black orbs while you move around, or else you might get blinded. Also, by the way, the orbs will all disappear when the circle almost reaches one full rotation. Light's Dogma is another new move. I'm not sure how the targeting works for it in co-op, but in solo, it's always on your lead character. It traps your character and you basically just group up and wait for it to explode. What you can do here in solo to gain a little bit of extra DPS is to switch to an AI before he does Light's Dogma, so that he traps an AI instead of your lead character. When you see a big purple circle on your character here, that means Cayenne's about to spawn a sun orb on top of your character. When it spawns, you will take damage, so keep that in mind. Make sure that you place this orb outside the ring so that you don't accidentally touch it. This is around the time when Cayenne's about to break. Well, he can break earlier, but I think most people will break around here. He's gonna summon 3 orbs, 1 white up top, blue bottom left, and red bottom right. If Cayenne touches any of them, then he'll receive a buff depending on the colored orb. White is health regen, blue is defense buff, and red is a strength buff. On top of those buffs, he'll also be granted a shield. Basically, don't let him touch any of the orbs or else it's going to cause some issues. In most cases, personally, I would take out the health regen one first because that one's the most problematic. If you are using Kate Sith, you can actually take out the blue one first and use the Kate Sith skill on Cayenne when he's still in the center, and the skill will eventually take out the white and red one on its own. Nothing really going on right here, pretty much the same old moves. When his HP matches the beginning of his overdrive bar, then you'll be forced into berserk mode. It's not like Legend Volk where berserk mode becomes active at the end of the boss's attack list. Cayenne's berserk activates at a certain HP percentage, so there's no way to skip berserk. Do make sure that all your skills are filled up before he goes into berserk, because you're going to need them for iframing for the next part. Just like Volk, Cayenne gets increased stats, he deals more damage, basically enough to one-shot your characters, and you don't do much damage to him outside the break. The first thing he does in Berserk is he puts a shield onto himself, then he will summon the 3 colored orbs again in the same locations. Prioritize in taking out all the orbs. You'll have to iframe all his dashes with skills while you take out all the orbs to ensure that your AI does not die. That's one of the reasons why I think Gala Alex is one of the safest characters out there to use for this fight, since her skills come up pretty quickly. Most of the time I take out the blue one first and I will bait Cayenne towards that direction. After baiting him, I take out the white one next and then the red one for last. Sometimes I do white, blue, then red. It really just depends where my characters are positioned during this part. After this should be Universal Annihilation again. You deal with it the same way as in phase 2. When it's red inside, you stay inside and prepare to quickly run outside. When it's full screen purple, then you run outside and then you quickly run inside. You really need to be fast because the inside purple will one-shot your characters. The AI Grace will die a lot during this part because Cayenne usually has a shield up, so what Grace likes to do is sit there and force strike. In order to prevent this from happening, you need to either de-aggro your characters beforehand by running to the bottom of the map, or you can dispel the shield yourself so Grace doesn't try to do it. Make sure to always force strike as much as possible during Berserk. Try to get that overdrive bar down so that you can actually do some damage. I recommend having your skills ready for iframing only unless you memorize his moveset, because there's a lot of things you gotta iframe like invisible swipes and some more dashes. You also have to save some skills for when he does the grabbing cataclysm move. I haven't got the pattern down for like the later stages of Berserk, so sometimes it catches me off guard. There's really nothing else new about Berserk. He does like new variations of old moves, but they're pretty much self-explanatory to understand. Like his grab in Berserk, he'll grab the farthest character and he'll throw a ball in like 5 different directions in front of him. Obviously you just get out of the way. If you get hit by it, then it's basically a one shot or close to one. Linear dualism in Berserk is hella toxic. He summons the orbs again in a line, but this time they rotate around him, and he'll also do swipes and grabs during this, so it's very hard to do this part correctly without messing up with something. I don't really have any good tips for this part. I would just recommend to dodge the purple lines, even if that means having to run through the wrong colored orb. Your top priority is obviously to survive, so everything else doesn't really matter. I mean, for Berserk, just focus on depleting the OD bar and deal as much damage as possible during the break. You're gonna have to break him at least like 2 or 3 times, so it's gonna take a while. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it for Legend Cayenne. Hope you guys learned something new. If you need some raw gameplay to watch, I have them up on my channel. I did record a new clear recently. I tried Taya's sub 4 minute solo team, but I don't think I can get sub 4 minutes without DY Lily's share skill. So a 4-minute clear is all I can get so far. Anyways, as always guys, thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
生きていることが嬉しいなんて。